Good evening, and good news for viewers who've seen all 154 episodes of this programme. Nurse will be along with your medication shortly. In the news this week, despite his mayoral election success, sales of Ken Livingstone's autobiography remain stuck at 1. In Hampstead, Patsy Kensit and Liam Gallagher enjoy a quiet afternoon in the park. And in Westminster Cathedral, the mystery of the empty communion wine jar is finally solved. On Ian Hislop's team, a presenter who recently reminded us I haven't read the news since 1982, something of a disadvantage on a topical news quiz, Angela Rippon. And with Paul Merton tonight as an MP who's come down from his home in Liverpool for the evening, although he's asked us to point out that the show was actually recorded last night, so his house isn't empty at the moment. Peter Kilfoyle, MP. So, round one is where the show starts beginning to commence. Ian and Angela, your arresting images.
Well, that's the ground force team at work, isn't it? They're doing a makeover, I think, on Parliament Square. And, oh yes, there's Charlie Dimmock, look, wearing a very fetching...
They called it guerrilla gardening.
Guerrilla gardening?
Yes.
An attempt to put a lot of vegetables in the centre of London, which they did.
Yes.
Yes, although it all turned ugly, didn't it?
Yes.
It did, when all those people tried to get a Happy Meal.
We can have a look at one of them.
Well, the police are leaving her alone because she's not carrying any Tibetan flags or any protest equipment.
Yes. One protester...
Well, they don't want to offend the Chinese when they come over, but they don't mind offending the rest of the country while the people... Sorry, that's a bit serious, but it is true.
You wish you hadn't said that.
No, I'm fine.
But you just made a funny... You just made a funny noise then, are you aware?
No, I'm sorry.
You're not a robot. Is he a robot?
What we'll probably do is to edit out the serious point and just keep him going... So how did Tony Blair spend May Day? Peter, were you aware of what he was doing?
No, I wasn't, I'm afraid. He doesn't ring me up and let me know anymore.
He wrote a 975-word letter to the Sun.
And the 975 words in the Sun.
You resigned as Defence Minister, didn't you, earlier this year?
Sort of, yeah. Well, it was only a joke at the time, but they didn't see the funny side.
Right. So did you celebrate May Day this year?
No, I didn't, actually. No, I mowed the garden. Just so the burglars could get through easy while I was away.
And Angela, did you dance around the Maypole in Devon? Is that where you live?
No, I actually live in central London, which means that you don't read the news much either these days. Before we go any further, can I just check something?
All right.
Excuse me. Thank you.
So you're going to explain to everyone what happened then?
Yes, I read somewhere that one of the critics always thought that you looked particularly well deodorised on this programme, and I was just checking.
And what's the verdict?
One of the critics said the other day, I don't wear any underpants.
So this is the day of so-called guerrilla gardening in Parliament Square. Within minutes of forcing his way into the McDonald's, one rioter had handed out over 300 hamburgers to the crowd and was later named McDonald's Employee of the Month. There was widespread criticism from the government at the destruction of the Whitehall branch of McDonald's, especially from John Prescott, as he now has an extra 400 yards to drive to get his lunch. Paul and Peter, your votes, please.
All right, yes, this is the mayoral election. There's somebody voting for it. This is wrong because you weren't allowed to fold. She's folded. You weren't meant to fold. Didn't they tell you today? Don't fold. She's folded. There's Ken. He hasn't folded. Stephen's folded. There's Susan Kramer, the Lib Dem, and probably next we'll have dear old Frank. There he is.
Yes.
There we are. He didn't really want to be mayor anyway.
Well, that's just as well.
He didn't want to be, but not Frank. He didn't want to be mayor.
How loyal are you on this one, Peter?
Not very loyal at all.
Really? Who are you backing then?
Nobody. I don't live in London. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
my
you've got to
home.
have an opinion.
I think everybody recognises there was a cock-up. Full stop. But they've
Including
never-
Tony?
I think he does now, yeah.
Be a first.
How you repair that is something else.
Do you think he'll work alongside him, or...?
I think he'd like to work over him.
So do people in Liverpool care about this at all?
No.
No. So would you stand for Mayor of Liverpool?
No.
You're top of some of the lists.
Is that right?
Yeah, Independent on Sunday have you above Scylla and Jimmy Tarbuck. Yeah, what are some of Ken's policies then?
Ken for mayor.
Yeah.
Vote for me.
Yeah, once he's in, what's he going to do then?
He's going to
Stay
laugh
there
for
forever.
weeks and weeks.
Yes, this is the long-awaited end to the London mayoral election. The votes were counted at 14 different centres. According to The Times, the results were transmitted Eurovision Song Contest style to the Queen Elizabeth Conference Centre, hence the 14 different versions of Dobson Le Point. Frank Dobson claims that if he had in fact been elected mayor, it would have created 100,000 jobs. That's for pigs in the aviation industry. Ian and Angela, anchors away.
It's Ken's victory rally.
Yes. And, oh, yes, it's the Aurora, isn't it? P&O's wonderful new liner, which broke down with its German engines. It's as tall as Ben Nevis, apparently. I have a theory that Ben Nevis might have floated longer than the Aurora.
Yeah, it fell over.
What, Ben
Fell
Nevis
over?
or the Aurora?
Yeah, no, the ship sort of fell over in nautical terms. Fell over.
Is that the nautical term for a propeller falling over?
Falling over. Captain, the ship's fallen over. Do you know anything about ships?
Slightly more than you do, by the sound of it.
Well, tell me what you know about ships.
They have a propeller, which they refer to as the propeller.
Oh, well, I bow to your superior knowledge. Didn't realise I was dealing with a Matelot.
What was the bad omen for this craft? But even
They tried to launch it with a traditional bottle of champagne, and the bottle of champagne didn't break. And that's bad luck.
It is bad luck, and we can see it now. It's Princess Anne, in fact.
They got the champagne back, though, because Princess Margaret dived in.
This is the new £200 million P&O cruise liner,
Yeah, we know that.
which broke down or fell over. According to the Telegraph, the ship left on Monday in a shower of streamers and ticker tape and was back on Tuesday to have the streamers and ticker tape removed from around the propeller shaft. And finally, in this round, Paul and Peter.
Somebody mowing the lawn. Oh, it's President Bill Clinton washing the car. This is the video, I think, that he made, didn't he, for the Washington Correspondent.
I wish I could be here more, but I really think Bill has everything under control.
Wait! For God's sake! I want to thank the Academy for this tremendous honor. This may be the greatest moment of my life. I mean, ever since I was a little boy, I've wanted to be a real actor.
He was very good, though, wasn't he? Very natural, and people are wondering what he's going to do now after his presidency finishing at the end of this year. Is it at the end of this year?
Yeah.
January of next year, yeah.
Yeah. So he might well go into show business. He's made a big impact.
You're a big fan, then?
No, not particularly, but he's taking a leaf out of Reagan's book, because Reagan sort of, like, was a disaster in many ways, but because he was, I don't know what I'm doing, people sort of, he's a bumbling man.
And the point of Clinton's video is to say, look, I'm not just a lame duck president with nothing to do. I'm not just preparing Hillary's lunch and looking in the mirror. But he's obviously got a lot of time to make stupid videos, hasn't he?
Stupid video, do you not approve?
I just think the idea of a president making a home video and the whole of Hollywood saying, you are fantastic, Mr. President, you should be running our industry, you could be an actor. Just...
What's wrong with that? He's having a bit of fun.
It's sad.
It's sick of
He's had a bit of fun.
Why is it sad?
We heard the tapes.
Yes.
Yes, this is the video made by Bill Clinton entitled The Final Days. Strangely, one or two excerpts from Clinton's term in office were not given the parody treatment. For example, he didn't amusingly complete a crooked land ownership deal, or cheerily order the bombing of Iran, or fire off a series of hilarious quips whilst being lightheartedly filleted by an intern. So, at the end of that round, these scores are like Bobby Davro's impressions, both exactly the same, being as it is for all. Round 2 mixes the major tabloid news stories of the week with the inability to recognise them. Paul and Peter. Naked chefs.
In the Buff.
In the Buff.
That's what it's called.
Yep.
It's a collection of recipes. And they've got high society ladies to pose draped with food.
And who are these
The
high-class
Beaufort
ladies?
Hunt. Is it the Beaufort Hunt?
Beaufort Hunt, yes. This is Nisha Hibbert, in fact, the art director of the book. Yes.
Any more?
Yes. That's Emma
a recurring
Tomlinson.
theme, isn't there,
Yes.
really?
And where is it available, if anyone was wanting to get it?
In all good shops and booksellers.
Under the counter.
Interestingly not, no, it's only available at badminton horse trials.
Can horses play badminton? I suppose that's why they're having the trials, to find out if they can.
So who's contributed the recipes? Because that's the other
Prince
idea.
Charles has contributed forward to this book, I believe, as well as a recipe.
And a fantastic picture of him with a banana.
Yeah. And a button mushroom where the sun don't shine.
But weren't you very rude about the royal family?
Was I rude about the royal family?
Yeah, well, on NBC TV, you said they
No,
were
I wasn't rude
spoiled
about
brats. or
No,
something.
I didn't say they were spoiled brats. No. What I said was that in certain people's opinion, they leave a spoiled and privileged lifestyle.
So you're distancing yourself from this opinion, it's not yours?
No, I'm just telling you what I did say, which is what you asked me.
OK, but...
Do you want to go out with Angela? Your way of chatting her up. I mean, the rest of us can carry on with the programme if you like.
This is the women of the Beaufort Hunt who've posed nude for a charity cookbook called In the Buff. Mr. Charles Farquhar, master of the hunt, claimed he wouldn't be getting undressed for the cookbook, saying, "I wouldn't want to frighten the horses." It sounds like Mrs. Farquhar's got nothing to complain about. Ian and Angela. Bad luck, Carol.
This is Carol Vorderman, isn't it? Showing that she didn't brush up on her Shakespeare and not winning, what was it, $250,000? Yeah, she got to 125,000. The $250,000 question involved Twelfth Night, was the answer.
How did Carol then describe Shakespeare, controversially?
Dull as ditchwater.
Dull as ditchwater, yes.
Which was a bit sour grapes when you've just failed to get the question right, isn't it?
Yes, from the presenter of Better Homes.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yes. Good noise, Angela.
yeah. Do we all get to make a noise on this
I
programme,
like to
then?
think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's yours going to be?
It's like, maybe I should, like, you know those sirens that you get, like the I think on fire engines, that very camp siren they've introduced in London the last 3 or 4 years. You know, you're sort of walking down the street and suddenly you... I always feel it should be like "Get You" at the end of it. Oh, we're off to a fire.
What was the other big question for Carol?
Oh, about where's the Gobi Desert?
No, actually, I was thinking about the big question that the papers asked the next day, which was what on earth was she wearing?
Oh,
Or indeed, how do you make a top out of a tractor tyre? She wouldn't, in fact, allow us to use a photograph of her wearing that top. So we noticed that it was the same top that she wore at the Brits. So we used a photograph of that instead. And who on this panel had anything to do with ITV's Day of Promise, Angela?
well, I think I did.
Yes,
Ian.
I think you might have done. What did you
Yes,
do?
I did a twirl. Yes, with a very good-looking young man from English National Ballet.
That's you out of the picture than Angus, isn't it? Yeah. Good-looking young man from English Ballet.
Green with jealousy.
He may not be a firefighter, we don't know.
Assuming a ballet dancer is going to be straight and the firemen are all camp. I don't know where you...
Yes, this is the celebrity version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Who's got the hose pipe? Oh, we've left it back at the station.
Right, come on then, let's do Swan Lake tonight.
Exactly. That's it. That's it.
Carol Vorderman failed on a question about Shakespeare, whom she described as dull as ditchwater. And Mirror economist Brian Reed leapt to his defence and claimed that Shakespeare's creations are all around us, adding, "Is there a little of Iago in Peter Mandelson?" Sounds like a lawsuit on the way. Which quizzical looks mean at the end of this screen test, it's, well, both teams seem obsessed with each other's score, sharing as they do 6 points each.
Yeah, we do.
Spot the difference and tell us the reason. That's what this round could have been called had it been a different game. Ian, your shrinking violets are Ruby Wax, Madonna, Tony Blair and Adolf Hitler.
He's changed, hasn't he?
That's a hole in his skull.
If you look at it in one way, it could be Peter Pan's silhouette standing in front of the moon.
With a fish behind him.
Yes.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Ruby Wax is I don't know.
Waiting for the tide to come in, but look at it.
Madonna, she's just moved to this country. She wants to live in London.
She has a house in W11, which is where you live, of course.
This is
isn't
true.
it? Yeah.
Do you want to ask her for her phone number, Angus?
They're all married to directors of British movies, except Hitler.
That's right. Tony
And
Blair's
Tony Blair.
And Tony Blair.
It is something to do with movie directors,
Yes,
isn't
it
it?
is, yes.
Because Blair had a girlfriend when he was at university who's the director or producer of American Psycho.
Very good.
Madonna is married to the producer-director of
Brilliant, Angela.
Guy Ritchie.
Lock, Stock and
Stock,
Smoking
yeah.
Barrel.
Very good.
She's
No,
married
no,
to
no,
Ed
she's
Bye.
not. No,
she is.
no,
She
no.
is. She's married to the director of
Yes, she
Kevin
is.
and Perry Go North.
Afraid she is. In which
Mind you what?
case
In which case, it's the man with the hole in the head.
is the right answer. The answer is that they've all dated film directors with the exception of Hitler, who tried to date filmmaker Leni Riefenstahl but was rebuffed. Nevertheless, Hitler was so infatuated with her, he offered to distribute her films all around Europe, saying, "I'm going that way anyway." Angela, your parade of lovelies are Princess Margaret, Betty Boothroyd, Vinnie Jones and Oliver Cromwell.
Is it dancing? Well, it might
in what
be.
way?
But,
Well, Cromwell banned dancing, didn't he? For the
is-
Puritans
yes,
didn't
he's
like
dancing
dancing.
the-
So he's the odd one out.
What, because none of the others banned dancing?
Betty Boothroyd was she's an
She's a
ex-Tiller
Tiller
girl,
girl.
wasn't she? Yeah.
Was a Tiller girl. Oh, but Princess Margaret is also was originally the patron of English National Ballet.
Very good.
Vinnie Jones used to be a ballet
Used to be a
dancer.
ballet dancer.
He was the hard man of the corps.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Didn't want to get in front of him during a pas de deux.
What?
So the odd one out
Well,
Cromwell.
it's got to be Cromwell.
is the right answer. Yes, Vinnie Jones was indeed a ballet dancer, or at least when he was a member of Wimbledon FC.
They did ballet training,
They
didn't
did.
they? Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the answer is that they've all taken ballet lessons, except for Oliver Cromwell, who outlawed dancing. Angela, of course, you're chairperson, are you, of the English
I will
National
be
Ballet?
in August. I shall be chairman of... not chairperson, chairman. Chairman,
Right,
yes,
okay.
chairman. I have no problem with my gender, and I think all that political correctness stuff is a load of old toss. I'm chairman of English National Ballet.
Angela, do you want to take over his job? You'd be very
Yes,
good.
yes,
All right,
I'd
then
be
you're
very
out.
good at it.
Off you go.
Okay,
Yes.
fair enough. Next week?
Next
Okay,
week,
the same time?
right, same
Okay,
time. You sit here, I'll sit there.
excellent.
Actually, you might have to leave it a week or two because I'm going to Australia next week. But when I come back,
All
yes.
right, OK, lovely.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
get Keith.
You're not going on a cruise ship, are you?
No, I'm not.
You might
Not
be
to
back a bit
Australia.
sooner.
Yes.
Oh, well. So, yes, Princess Margaret is president of Royal Ballet, in fact, and Betty Boothroyd was famous...
Excuse me.
What's that then?
Princess Margaret was actually the original patron of English National Ballet.
But is she not president of Royal Ballet now?
Yes, but I'm just getting in another plug for my company, that's all.
Are you wanting more points?
No, yes,
Oh,
please, yes. Could I have another point as well?
No.
Then no, you can't have my telephone
Oh,
number.
OK, right. Yes. Peter, your Fab Four are Lloyd Grossman, Anna Ford, Neil Kinnock and Tipper Gore.
Anna Ford and Neil Kinnock both play guitar.
I think Lloyd Grossman does as well. I think he played the guitar.
And Tipper Gore, I think, went to some music conservatory to study music professionally.
So she's the odd one out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, no, I will give you the points there, actually, although that's not quite the reason why she's the odd one out. She plays the drums.
Does she?
And in fact once played drums for Grateful Dead. There she is. You know a bit about pop music. You used to be in a band, didn't you, Peter?
It's nearly 40 years ago. Long time.
Did you play the Cavern then? You must have done, I suppose. Were you around that time?
Yep.
What was the name of your band?
The Hungry Eyes.
That's I, and as in the letter I, as opposed to
I, as in letter I, yes.
the... Right. As crap names go...
You were saying Angus?
Lloyd Grossman stated recently that he never travels anywhere without a Swiss Army knife, a vital piece of equipment that has 37 uses, which is 37 more than Lloyd Grossman has. And finally in this round, Paul, Sean Ryder, Tommy Lee, Alan Clark and Peter Mandelson.
Well, what I know about these people, I know that Sean Ryder was the lead singer in Happy Mondays. Tommy Lee's married or was married to Pamela Anderson in Baywatch. Alan Clark's got a bear standing behind him, and Peter Mandelson's having sex with a Labrador. So I think the odd one out is Sean Ryder.
Is the right answer. But you'll be amazed to know the wrong reason.
No, yeah, well, tell me the reason then.
Is it dogs? Is it the names of dogs?
In what way?
They've all got dogs with funny names, haven't they? Alan Clark's got did have, when he was alive, a dog called Eva Brown. His dog's called Bobby. They've all got dogs named after political figures.
The answer is that they all own dogs that have bitten people, except Sean Ryder, who has bitten a dog. When he was working as a postman, he bit a terrier's head and threw it back down on the ground.
No. How big's a terrier's head? You can't get a terrier's head in your mouth.
Well, he didn't bite it off.
Well, he's got one.
According to a fellow band member, it was one of those little terrier things, yip, 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 rah, rah, rah. It's not nice at 7 in the morning. It did provide him with the lyrics to his next song, by the sound of it, which, mordant satire, marked the end of this chunk, with Paul and Peter gaining bit by bit, ahead as they are, 10-9. Our final missing words round is just that, a simple sample of this week's headlines, including some, many or less from this week's guest publication, the irresistible Freemasonry Today.
Freemasonry saved my life, it says there. That's a good reason to have them disbanded.
So let's head off with NASA alerted as what? Fall from the sky.
Spears.
Freemasons.
There were these sort of... There was a wonderful photograph in a lot of the papers of a young boy sitting in what looked like the Gobi Desert or somewhere with this great thing that looked like one of those things you get in a toilet cistern in front of him.
Lumps of rock.
Large metal balls
Yeah,
is the right
exactly.
answer. We can, in fact, see that photograph. There we are. That's the large metal
What's he
ball.
thinking there? That's the last I'll see of that rabbit.
It is, isn't it?
Next, Virgin Islands get what?
Pregnant. New governor? Dolby stereo joke. Went out with the Canary Islands, had too much to drink, ended up being lapped on the seashore. Is that it?
Get their own
Television.
lodge.
It is from Freemasonry.
They're getting a lodge.
A Masonic lodge is
lodge,
in
near
fact.
enough.
Yes. Next, Nigel Kennedy feels like what?
Chicken the night. Throwing a violin up the chance of the exchequer.
Backing up.
No, oddly enough, you were almost
Carrying
right.
on.
With your first guess. Chicken every night is in fact. And finally, Cornwall in favour of what?
Cornish pasties.
Raising the dead.
Freemasons.
No, although it is from Freemasonry today.
In favour of rolling up your trouser leg and jumping in the sea. Trowels.
Beg your pardon?
Slapping a trowel on an apron. That's what they like doing, slaps.
Openness amongst Freemasons.
They're a bit mad.
No, contrary to how the media depicts it, Freemasonry apparently involves kindness, honesty, courtesy, fairness, forgiveness, reverence and love of God.
And trowels.
Yes. All those things you associate with Jim Davidson.
Exactly.
All of which nocturnal emissions mean at the end of this evening's unrest, this week's nightmares are Ian and Angela with 12, while this week's elected mayors are Paul and Peter with 13. But before they disappear into the night, or more likely the bar, the terminal matter of our caption competition.
Hello, Alcoholics Anonymous. It's happening again.
Come on, Frank, it's all over.
And I leave you with news that on the outskirts of Blackpool, William Hague's new campaign to woo the voters of tomorrow gets off to a bad start. At a primary school in Windsor, a 5-year-old picks the wrong day to have seconds of pizza. And in Washington, Bill Clinton has a slight accident doing up his flies. Good night.